Okay, hi. So we're going to now create a new assembly using these Lego parts. So I'm going to create a new assembly and I will navigate to the Lego folder. Oh, I don't want to rename it. And I'm going to choose the Lego plate and the orientation or the size of it. I want it to be a 2x8. I'll select open and I will select the green check mark to place it at the origin. Okay, I also want to, I'm going to turn on the visibility of planes here because I want the front plane of this part visible, and I'm also going to set the units to mm/s, and as before we're making sure that Y up is the default orientation. I'm now going to bring in two S-beams, so I'll go to the Assembly tab, select Insert Component. I'm going to choose Lego S-beam. I'll select the option to make 10, S-beam 10. I'll select open. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to click on the green, this push pin, so it lets me bring in multiple copies of it. So I'm going to rotate this one around the Y. I'll bring in the next one, rotate it around the Y, and that's all. I only need two of them, so I'll click the green check mark to end the insert component. I'm going to go to the Mate tab, and I will now use 3 coincident mates on each of these to connect them to the plate. So this face to this face, making those coincident. I'll rotate this around, selecting this face. Sorry, wrong. I selected the wrong thing. I selected the front plane of the plate. I'll clear that. I want this face and this face. Make those coincident, and I'll drag this up a little bit so that I can select the bottom face of that and the top face of the plate. Now I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll select this face and this face, make them coincident. I'll select this face and this face, again making them coincident. And lastly, I'll select this face and this face, making sure that they are coincident. My assembly at this point is fully defined, and I'll dismiss the Mate tool. I'm going to hit Control 7 to put myself in isometric mode so that I make sure I'm building this thing in the correct orientation. I'm going to bring in another 2x8 plate. So I'm going to go Insert Components. I'll bring in the plate, make it 2x8, and drop it here. And now you'll see the reason why I have the front plane visible, because now I can mate it using the front plane of the plate to the face of the beam, and I'll select this face and this face, making those coincident, and lastly I'll select the top face of the plate and the bottom face of the beam to lock those down. And again, down here on the bottom I can see that I'm fully defined. I'm now going to bring in 2 S-beam 14s, so I'll insert the component. S-beam here, I want to make them 14, and again, since I'm bringing 2 in, I'll put my push pin on. I'll rotate this one in the Y direction, and I'll do the same thing for the next one, and I'll say OK. And now I'm going to mate these. So kind of same situation. I'll select this face and this face, make them coincident. No, clear those selections. I didn't want that. Oh, I accidentally did an extra coincident there, so I'm going to undo that. So let's see here. I want this face and that face to be coincident, and I can make the top faces here coincident, and that should lock that one down. That's all locked down. So now here I'll select this face and this face, make them coincident. I'll drag it out here a little bit so I can see the faces I need. This face and this face, make those coincident, and I'll select the two top faces here. Nope, that didn't work right. I selected the wrong plane. So clear those selections. I want this face and that face. That's what I want. Okay. Now I'm going to bring in a plate. So it's going to be a 2x12 plate. So I'll insert that. I'll select the Lego plate. 2x12 is what's already selected. I'll bring that in, and you'll notice something here, that plate, when it comes in, it actually came in as a 2x8. So even though the configuration said 2x12, that's not what ended up being put in here. So I'll select here and go down and select the 2x12, and I'll say OK. As I said, SOLIDWORKS is a little flaky in just that one little instance there when you're choosing the configurations. So I'll select this face and this face, select this face and that face, and just drag this down a little bit, selecting the top face and the top face there. And again, I'll hit Control-7 to make sure the orientation is correct. And now the next component I'm going to bring in is an S-beam, a S-beam-2. Again, that's what I selected the configuration, but that's not what came through. So hit the Z instead of the Y. So that's what I want, but now I need to select and make it S-beam 2. All right. Again, doing the same thing. 3 coincident mates will lock everything down. This face to this face. This face to that face. And the top face here to the bottom face there. Okay. So now I'm bringing in 2 separate beams, a beam 15 and a beam 17. So let me go ahead, insert Lego beam, and I want this to be a beam 15. Again, I'll rotate it around the Y and dropping it, and I am going to mate it. So I want this cylinder to be concentric with this cylinder here. So I'll select those, and I want the faces there to be coincident to each other. So I'll select this face of the beam and this face of the beam that I just brought in. And I can click on, oh, let me just click on it and drag it up a little bit. Okay, and now the beam 17. Oh, I don't want to do any other beam there. So let me insert the component. I'm going to select beam, and I want beam 17 to come in. And it is beam 17. I'll rotate it around the Y, drop it out over here. I'll do a mate. So the concentric circle there and that one together. And I can actually just select the front face of this one and the front face of that one, and that'll line those up. So if I view this from the top, you can see that the beams are lined up together. So I'm just going to click on this and just pull it up here a little bit just to move it up. All right, so the next thing I want to do, the last part that I'm adding here, is a beam 5. So insert the Lego beam. I want it to be a beam 5. Again, I'll rotate it around the Y and drop it in here. And the mates are going to be between this piece and that cylinder, and between this cylinder and the second one over here. And then we need one more, a coincident mate between this face and that face. And then the last thing that I need to do is I need to put an angle mate in, because if you notice, if I click and drag on this, this thing has a degree of freedom. So what I want is I'll set the angle to be 30 degrees, and I want that angle to be between this face and this face. That's not the orientation that I want, so let's try flipping the dimension. That's all I needed to do, and that gets me the angle that I want. So now we're looking at verifying that we have the center of mass of this with respect to the origin. So I'll do evaluate mass properties, and these agree with what is left in the document. Okay, the next step is to make one change. So what we're going to do is modify the location of where this part is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the mates, and it's going to be one of those concentric mates. It's going to be this one. So I can modify it, or I can delete it. I think sometimes it's easier just to delete it, so I'll right click and delete that. And now you can see that this is movable, and they want you to connect it to the 6th hole of the beam. So I'm going to go to my mate tool, and I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and choose that. And that is the orientation that you want for submitting to the document, and what you'll get the center of mass for this orientation as well.